Breaking today, extraordinary developments as the crisis in the British royal family grows, with Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, for the first time briefing their concern over King Charles's health. Now, this is being viewed as lining up in the future potential grounds for an abdication from the monarch. Now, to say that we're in unprecedented times is an understatement, of course. This afternoon, here in the United Kingdom, there has been a debate in Parliament about the misconduct of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and of course, the strategy from the British royal family is to keep calm and carry on. We haven't seen King Charles now since the hours after Andrew's arrest, but Camilla, the Queen, emerged yesterday for a meeting with Giselle Pellicot. Now, she is the French victim of that appalling rape. And the idea from Buckingham Palace is to put the Queen front and centre with victims of sexual abuse. However, lots of people, of course, saying, well, yeah, but what about the Epstein victims? We're going to get into all of this very shortly with royal YouTube sensation Lauren the Insider, and there is so much to discuss, Lauren. But first, I just want to take you through this new piece of reporting from the Daily Mail, which is very significant to me in the development of all of this. There is the headline, branded and exclusive: William and Kate are concerned Andrew's arrest will hurt the King's health, amid frustration that they can't speak out after hinting at turmoil at BAFTAs. A very loaded headline, that. And here's the article, which includes sources close to the couple. Prince William's diplomatic outburst about his own mental health at the BAFTAs was a sign of his, quote, deep frustration over Andrew's arrest, fears for his father's health, and his desire to say more. The Prince and Princess of Wales are clearly itching to further publicly distance themselves from the future King's errant uncle, a royal source has said. The couple are also becoming increasingly concerned about the impact Andrew's arrest is having on the King's health as he continues to fight cancer, another well-placed source claimed. He is exhausted and it's draining for him, they said. William and Catherine's glamorous appearance signalled a determination to put the royal family's difficulties to one side, but it appeared that issues around Andrew Mountbatten Windsor were not far from William's mind. William is frustrated because it's still likely to be a problem on his plate when he eventually becomes king, a royal insider has told the Daily Mail today. I'm sure the Prince and Princess of Wales have been itching to say something publicly to distance themselves, but they have to be cautious because of the police investigation. I think William and Kate are acutely aware that this is a scandal that won't be going away for a long time. It's a mess left by Andrew and the late Queen, and although His Majesty is very much in charge, William is frustrated. The Princess looks so elegant, but you can see that this is all causing strain, and that's the last thing she needs, the Mail source said. And while the Princess remains silent on the ongoing issues involving Andrew, royal sources have said the couple's main concerns surround the health of the King, who is still battling cancer. So this is new from William and Catherine. The source saying, obviously William is not feeling calm and he would have spoken on behalf of them both. It's a terrible situation and they are very concerned about the health of the King and the impact this will be having on him. He is exhausted and it's draining for him. Also, as parents of young children, to be reading all of this pretty awful, and they are clearly concerned. William let this slip out last during a conversation, and he would have done that on purpose. That is very clear, but Catherine has kept quiet. Now, that is, of course, referring to this very brief moment at the BAFTAs on Sunday, where William wanted to put out to the world, and it made all of the newspaper front pages, that he is not feeling calm. Now, that... And remember, you've got to very much look into the subtleties in terms of what royals say, because they often send a secret message. And the use of the word calm was a secret message, which was essentially trampling all over the current Buckingham Palace strategy, which is entirely based on the idea of keeping calm and carrying on. But this is what William said.
I haven't watched it. Again, last night. You need to be in a quiet state. You need to be in a calm state. I'm not at the moment. I'll save it for when I'm feeling ready.
Lauren, the Insider, joins me now. Lauren, there's a huge amount to pick up on here, specifically from this briefing to the Daily Mail, which they have branded exclusive, given a very prominent place on their website. and quoted sources close to William and Catherine speaking of their concern for the king's health. Now, for a long time, of course, I have reported, Lady Colin Campbell has reported, that the king's health situation is incurable. It is terminal. We try and do so sensitively. Lady C reporting last week that a senior member of the British royal family had also conceded to her that the current drama around Andrew, the stress around that, was worsening his cancer. And of course, I have great human empathy for that, Lauren. Like, we know that stress is a terrible thing for someone who is battling the extremity of the cancer that the king is. But what's so different in this briefing today is that it's William and Catherine who are saying it, that they have never expressed concern via their sources about the king's health. And to me, it now is increasingly becoming clear, Lauren, that there is at least a path being made way for. I'm not saying immediately, and I'm not even saying in a few weeks' time, but there is a path being laid for this idea that the king may step down, may abdicate as a result of his health, rather than as a result, publicly at least, of what's going on with Andrew. What's your reading of this quite extraordinary new briefing today from William and Catherine? I need you to do something for me right now. It is free, it is easy, it is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet.
Well, I think Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are they're very kind people. I don't think there's anyone that would want to see anyone going through cancer have any stress. So it makes absolute sense that they are trying to get their message across because they're compassionate people. But I do go back to the briefings that were coming from the palace in December, was that King Charles is doing really well. Now, obviously with cancer, many people will know that it can take dramatic turns and stress is not good for anyone, let alone someone that is battling cancer. But I do also have reservations that this is a narrative being used by the palace to ensure that we can't hold King Charles accountable for certain things and we're not able to question him. I know that there are lots of pro King Charles and pro Andrew people that are pushing certain narratives. So I approach this very cautiously. We do know that Prince William and Catherine have taken on a new PR. And they've been with them a few months now. Less is always more with William and Catherine. They do not brief a huge amount. They do not attend lots and lots of events. They are restricted by the palace. So you're absolutely right when you say there is always meaning with what they do and what they say. And when Prince William let it slip that he wasn't in a calm mood, the gravitas of this is huge because obviously talking about emotions and drama, that's something the royal family have never done. And Prince William has been at the forefront of really making the royal family much more relatable and human. And he was clearly expressing that the stress of everything is getting to him because these are deep institutional problems. And that's why when it comes to King Charles, I do question, without taking anything away from his health battle, how much stress is there? Did he really not know about any of this? Because all of the royal whistleblowers and insiders I've interviewed have said there are deep institutional problems whereby certain behaviour was, a blind eye was turned to it. And if they raised the alarm, there was a risk to that. You just don't speak out, not when you've got bills to pay. So I am cautious that there are certain narratives coming out, but I do think that William and Catherine are very kind people. So they will, of course, be worried about King Charles. He is William's father and he's Catherine's father-in-law, and they don't want to see him go through anything that isn't going to help him get better. But on the other side, King Charles has some big questions to answer.
And they're also, Lauren, looking very closely at a change in mood on both sides of the Atlantic. And that's something that William in particular is far more clued up on, especially with his new PR team. And here is just a little taster of royalists monarchists who are now out there openly in the mainstream media talking about the unthinkable, the idea that the king either needs to or will abdicate. Watch this.
The king might have to stand aside, and I genuinely have a way out for him, which is to say that his medical situation is the reason that he's doing that. We will all know it's for the good of the royal family, and they start with a clean slate with William and Kate. What do you make of that, pal?
Yes, I mean, a number of people have suggested that. I've suggested that myself. I think it may be the only way to clean up the stables and start afresh.
I don't think King Charles is going to survive this. I think he'll be gone within 6 months. I think that the official line will be it's due to his health. He'll use that.
Yep.
And William will ascend to the throne, which is what the British people want.
And I mean, Lauren, that's Maureen Callaghan. Okay, she is the star American columnist for the Daily Mail, but the Daily Mail is a British pro-monarchy newspaper, yet they let her write a column arguing very much for that, quoting royal insiders close to William and Catherine, saying that it's necessary.
I don't think King Charles should abdicate because I don't think that will fix the problem. I
agree.
Prince William needs some time to get things in order. We know he's been working behind the scenes for some time. You only have to look back to see how much distance he has put between himself and the palace, and he does not operate in the same way everyone else does. These are incredibly positive signs, but anyone that thinks just removing King Charles will deal with the problem, it's absolutely not going to, because we need to look at how has this happened. This is sadly decades of institutional rot that has been able to thrive, and people were scared to come out and whistleblow. People have said to me, what is there in it for us for coming forwards? We don't get a promotion. We could lose our jobs. So I think Prince William is doing everything in the right way. But just by changing the king, I don't think that will deal with the problem. This is a problem that needs to be dealt with behind the scenes. And we need to give them time to do it, to do it properly as well.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Lauren. And a lot of people are highly critical of any coverage that talks about real crises within the British royal family. Well, I can't apologise for that. I'm doing my job as an independent journalist to suggest that in some way we can just say, oh, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Everything's going to be fine. You know, Andrew's just, one rogue individual. No. That isn't going to hold. That's not where we're at. The Parliament is debating this. The Prime Ministers of Australia and New Zealand are now publicly calling for Andrew to be removed from the line of succession. These are unprecedented times. I am going to cover all of this, I'm afraid. If you just want propaganda, you're not coming to me at the moment. That's not the right place to be.
And that's also the point. The whole mainstream media is so controlled that they're guided by the palace on the certain narratives.
100%. And that's been such a mistake, Lauren. Because why are we in this position? Because Buckingham Palace have allowed the mainstream media to cover this stuff up for the past 15 years. And that's why we are here. Because these things couldn't be covered up once we'd actually read the emails for ourselves in the Epstein files. But like you, Lauren, I hope people can also appreciate that my position is nuanced. I am not calling for the king to abdicate at this point. That is not my preference, actually. I'm a believer in hereditary monarchy. But I'm saying that if things are not sorted, if he continues this head in the sand, ostrich type approach, then we might end up there, especially given, Lauren, I want to play a little bit of your interview with Andrew Lowney, author of Entitled from the Insider, where he is very clear that the king is complicit in the cover-up, but again, he stresses that William's hands are clean. Watch this.
Had overseen the payment to Virginia Giuffre and also contributed to the finances of this. You don't pay £12 million to someone in a settlement when you are totally innocent, I would argue. What do you make of that?
I certainly think the king is much more involved in this than he's letting on. I mean, wants to let on, because clearly it's very damaging. The Sun story, I believe, is true. It supports what my sources have been saying. I know people feel that the palace has been lying to journalists about some of these issues. So I think we just have to see how it pans out over the next few days. But certainly my source is very credible on this issue. I think we probably do need some sort of statement of explanation about what was known at the palace, when they knew it, and what they did about it.
Do you think the king has gone far enough releasing a statement, or do you think we should hear him in person address what is going on? Because we have been taken for fools as well, haven't we?
Well, I think, their style isn't to with rare exceptions, to broadcast to the nation, though we did have it during COVID. We had it clearly after Diana's death. I think there have been several other occasions. They're using more of that. I think we might perhaps get a statement through social media. We might get a story leaked to the press, that they can't control that so well. But I think people are expecting some sort of explanation of exactly what was known. But the problem is, if you say nothing, then you can't be held up. If you say something that's found not to be true, like Andrew did in the Newsnight interview, then you're in big trouble. So again, the old policy of never talking might be their safest one.
So, Lauren, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the king has questions to answer, and I feel that this is a cover-up. I feel that we aren't just looking at Andrew Mountbatten Windsor being the only one compromised, and I mean compromised in terms of the same rules don't apply. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And for a long time, the royal family have operated on a completely different level to us. We've never seen Andrew investigated for selling his house for £3 million over the asking price. We have never seen Sarah Ferguson's finances investigated. There is just such a deep trail of two-tier corruption, in my opinion, because if this was any of us, the rule book would be thrown at us. I think King Charles absolutely has to be honest. But the issue we face here, Dan, is we're told to put our trust in the police and the authorities. But these are the same frameworks that have not investigated mass grooming gangs. They are the same forces whereby some testimonies say children were raped by policemen. They are the same police force that have colluded with the media, and this was never investigated because Leveson Part 2 was dropped by, the government. So it's very hard for us to put our trust in the police, and also to some degree to put our trust in the royal family, because we have seen all too often things have been swept under the rug.
Oh, yes.
And this is why I actually don't think King Charles should abdicate, because Prince William has got a brilliant lesson now in what not to do. And I actually think this time is very valuable for Prince William. He is a man of integrity. He has a vision, and he's an honest family man that does put the people first. So actually watching how wrong King Charles is getting it, I think it isn't time wasted necessarily. We will emerge from this with a very strong king in William. I mean, I often get trolled for people saying, is William paying you? Why do you like him so much? I'm like, are you mad? I think Prince William and Catherine will be incredible for us, but we also have to give them time to get their ducks in a row and not push it, because we're not giving him enough time to prep. And what's going on behind the scenes, this is devastating. I believe that William and Catherine absolutely want to speak out on this, and they're just absolutely having their wings clipped by the palace.
Lauren, I also want to discuss this debate over some of the more shocking claims in the Epstein files, which I know you have been very much across. And I just want to contextualize this a bit, because obviously these latest claims, well, you might not know, but they include allegations of torture, even taking place at Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, with electric shock treatment reported to be given by Ghislaine Maxwell. And the accuser even suggests that she saw Prince Andrew's face. So it's a very horrifying claim. And what's interesting is that there's been a big debate amongst a lot of the independent media. I mean, the mainstream media has just completely ignored it, but in the independent media about how seriously should we take these allegations. And I wanted to start by showing you this discussion between Maureen Callaghan, aforementioned for the Daily Mail, and my friend Megyn Kelly. Now, Megyn Kelly started by talking about the perilous position King Charles is in following my interview with her. But she does go on to say, and I think this is highly significant, that she believes Virginia Giuffre's allegations against Andrew, even though she does believe that Giuffre was a liar on many other issues. And Lauren, the reason I wanted to show that is because it's a very similar conversation that has been taking place. I know you had an interesting conversation with our friend Tom Sykes of The Royalist about this letter too, which reads, and it was written in 2020, "There I was, restrained on a table and tortured with electrical shocks by Ghislaine Maxwell and surrounded by watching men. I remember seeing Prince Andrew's face. I tried to sneak out. Maxwell caught me and beat me with the bristle end of a broom." I mean, there's lots more, but you're with Maureen Callaghan, aren't you? You do think that potentially there could be credence in these allegations, which of course we have to say, Lauren, for legal reasons, remain very much unproven.
Yeah, so these are from the documents. They are unproven. And I think it's important we explore everything in the documents because there has been no transparency. There really hasn't been justice for victims. So we can't apply logic to the fact, in my opinion, that this hasn't been proven because people have been silenced. Evidence is still not located. This is the biggest cover-up of our time. Now, if we look at these accusations, Surrey police have had similar, and they say they've had no evidence of it. But again, we go back to, well, can we trust the police forces? I would argue no. The type of abuse in question very much sounds like satanic ritual abuse. Now, people that are conditioned with a mainstream view won't believe it unless they see it in the mainstream and proven. But thousands of victims have come out, not relating to Andrew, but other people and elites, to say that they have been subjected to torture like this. We've seen Annette Lucas. There's so many women that have come forwards saying things like this happened to them in childhood. So at the moment, I have no trust in the government. I have no trust in the police. I think women and children have been failed for decades and will continue to be failed unless the entire framework changes. So I agree with Maureen. This has to be looked into because the FBI have not done enough. We were told that, no, nothing to see here, move along. And then, oh, lo and behold, 3 million documents drop, and this is 2%. It's 2%. And I think you have to ask, well, some accusations, I think, have been buried because it would be a very bad look for anyone. I'm not implying this one has been buried, but in the Epstein documents, I myself have seen email conversations talking about literally ripping the heads off women, keeping women in aquariums, talking about them like they are food. I've seen email discussions about where to hide the hammer, pulling the trigger. So at this point, we have to really critically think. We have to remember they are unproven allegations, but I don't think they should be dismissed at all because we can't be applying the logic that things are only true if they are given that seal of approval from the FBI or the mainstream media, because both of which aren't working in our interests, are they?
To understand the current debate, we need to look back at the controversies involving Prince Andrew. In recent years, Andrew faced intense public criticism related to his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Although he denied wrongdoing, the situation had a major impact on his role within the royal family, and he stepped back from official royal duties in 2019. Since becoming king, Charles III has attempted to streamline the monarchy and limit the public roles of certain members of the royal family. However, controversies linked to Prince Andrew continue to surface in media discussions, creating challenges for the royal institution's public image. Some royal commentators now suggest that Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, may be taking a more cautious approach in order to protect the future reputation of the monarchy. According to these claims, the couple could be focusing on distancing their public work from controversies that may affect the next generation of royal leadership. The video title references the idea of grounds to abdicate, suggesting that the situation could place pressure on King Charles. However, it's important to note that there has been no official indication that King Charles plans to abdicate. Abdication is extremely rare in British history, and any such decision would be highly unusual. Stories about internal royal tensions often gain huge attention online. Supporters of the monarchy argue that the institution must adapt to modern expectations, while critics believe transparency is necessary when controversies arise. As a result, debates about the future of the royal family frequently trend across social media and commentary platforms. Royal analysts generally caution that much of the information circulating about internal disagreements comes from commentary rather than confirmed palace statements. Without official confirmation, it is difficult to know the full extent of internal discussions within the royal family. What this story really shows is how closely people around the world follow the British monarchy. Even speculation about internal dynamics can quickly become global news. For now, the discussion about Prince Andrew, King Charles, and the future role of Prince William remains part of an ongoing media conversation. What do you think about the situation surrounding Prince Andrew and the pressure it places on the royal family? Should the monarchy address these issues more openly? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown of royal news and analysis, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more updates.